Hi, Connie Romano here, and today Connie's catch is at Widener University, and we are going in this store to find out the surprises and the guests for the day. So come on, let's go. Hi, we're here today in Widener University, and this is one of our distinguished panelists at the Youth Conference for Change, Ted Sutton. Thank you for joining us. And Ted, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, first, thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is Ted Sutton. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm the founder and the CEO of an organization called Sutton House Incorporated, where I've helped young men to change their lives around. I started transitional housing, helping young men to get out of gangs, independent living program, helping young men who age out of foster care, and also working and doing intervention actually in the streets, trying to help young men who want to change their lives around.
You're very passionate about this, and one of the reasons why you are is because of your upbringing. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's really ironic you say that, because my upbringing, realistically, my father was a civil rights leader. My mother worked for Medgar Evers. My father was deep in the civil rights movement, but I was their middle child. When we moved to Baltimore, I ended up hooking up with one of the roughest groups that was there in Baltimore, and so the same people that they wrote the series called The Wire was the same people that I was with. And the man who was and is still to this day, he's my godfather, a man named Little Melvin Williams, the man they featured on American Gangster, the man who was the person they got the character Avon Barksdale, and the person who pretty much played the Deacon on The Wire. So, and that was, and it still is to this day, he's has been my mentor. But I say that to say that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it, because I lost a lot of friends. I had a lot of them fall by the wayside, and by me being one of the, I would say, people who was a survivor in that situation, by the grace of God, it actually, I was able to change my life around and change things, and now I'm actually about changing other people's lives. And if you make a connection with someone and make it a strong connection with them, they actually will reach out to you at that pivotal key point in their life when it can either go one way or the other. And we need for them to get it from someone that's positive as opposed to someone that's negative. And I talk about it because I say you either speak life into someone or you speak death into them. And they need to connect with people who are going to speak life.
This is the guest speaker, Eugene. I'm not saying much more. Shh.
It is a pleasure to be here with you all today. So I have a unique job in Washington. I report to the Attorney General, Eric Holder, head the highest law enforcement officer in the country, but I also report to the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. So I have two bosses, and my boss at the White House, his name is Joshua Dubois, and he is special assistant to the president. And I get asked a lot, well, do you work with the president? Do you see the president often? I've met him on a few occasions, but I don't work directly with him, if that's to answer that question for anyone who might have that question. But my boss does. So he's in the Oval Office regularly. He meets with the president. And in fact, I think he has one of the coolest jobs in the world. And for all you young people who are, consumers of technology and are probably texting as I'm speaking, he actually sends the president a text every day. And in that text, he sends him a quick little devotional, little word from God to encourage him and help him start his day off right. That's a pretty cool job, right? As I said, I was from Massachusetts, and I heard a story about a minister who was going into a juvenile facility, and where I'm from, the juvenile facility is called DYS, Department of Youth Services. And this minister's going into DYS, and he went to visit a young man that was facing a lot of time, and for a very serious offense. And the young man looks up at the minister and he says, you know what, Rep? I'd rather be wanted for murder than not wanted at all. And I just think that's telling, because far too many of our young people want to be wanted and want to be loved, and that's all pretty much they're looking for, right? Is to be part, to belong to something bigger than themselves. And I've also heard, Ted, I don't know if you've heard this, but you know, gangs are just groups of boys trying to teach each other how to be men. And you know, we live in a time, a day and age where there's so many young people that don't, particularly our young men, that don't have a sense for their identity and who they are. And it's incumbent upon all of us in our community to help love on one another, recognize that we're all in this together, and that recognize we're really all brothers and sisters, right? And I heard Father Greg Boyle from Homeboy Industries in California say once that we need to get rid of us and them and just recognize that we're all we.
This is Keith Smith, Isan.
Isan.
What a story. I'm not going to say it all, but he's briefly discussing with us what transpired the day that bad thing happened and changed your whole life. And he really was unwrongly accused. And you've turned your life around, and you've done so much for yourself and for the community, and we're going to find out so much about it inside.
Yes. My name is Isam. My birth name is Keith Smith, but my friends all call me Isam. I've been to a lot of exotic places, as Ted has been. Well, I'm going to tell you some of those places, especially you young people all the way in the back. I really want you to hear this. I've been to a few places like SEI Grateford. I've been to another place at SEI Camp Hill. I've been to another place called SEI Rockview. I've been to another place, SEI Chester. To tell you something, I traveled for a very long time in those places. I was away for 23,505 days, 444 months, 1,924 weeks. You don't even need a calculator, but think about it, 365 days in a year. So when you kind of add that up, it adds up to 37 years I was away. I had a life sentence. And the grace of the Creator, in December of 2010, before Governor Rendell, he pardoned 3 gentlemen. I'm one of those 3 gentlemen that he pardoned. Well, he muted my sentence. They muted my sentence. But I'm going to tell you how I got it. And all it was just a lookout man. In a homicide robbery, a man lost his life. And to make a long story short, it took me 5 to 7 years to realize that I was doing a life sentence in prison. I had to stop all those other little deities, all the little guys that used to follow when it came to the drugs, when it came to the alcohol, when it came to smoking, or dealing with other people and their attitudes and fighting and all those different things. I had to leave it alone. So I educated myself inside that prison. Some people here that was at me at SEI Chester are here now. And that's all I did, is learn about myself. And I educated myself by getting a diploma and take a couple of those small college courses in there with Temple. So laying in that 8x6 cell 24 hours a day sometimes, has a mental effect. But the grace of God, I'm here with you in front of you today on the 1st of January, the 26th, sitting here talking to you people today. And I'm very fortunate and very humble. I have started other programs, youth programs inside the prison. And for the last 22 months, I've been a part of the mission. That's why I got my little jacket on. Darren doesn't have this on. He wanted to wear a gray suit today. But I'm representing today.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lana Adams. I founded an organization called Mike Check 12, dedicated to community engagement and to a lot of the issues that we're talking about today. You mentioned working with law enforcement to bridge the gap between the young people. And I was just interested to know how the progress is going with that and how we can be a little bit more trusting of police officers.
So I ended up setting up something where in the police academy, now this has been unprecedented, I brought in young gang members. No question, no asks, no questions, no names, anything, but they come in and they started to tell officers why they became gang members, and 2, why they do not like the police. And as they did, they started to hear stories of officers smacking their grandmother, pulling somebody's pants down in the middle of the street looking for drugs, planting something on somebody, taking a child's phone and smashing it down to the ground. And then the one young man said, they just spit in my face. And as they told them, they began to show, you know, why they got there. I mean, they didn't just start out one day saying, and I wanted to share with them that, look, that we have to break down this barrier, because one officer can either build or break a community.
You know what, and to follow up with that, because of my practice and because I have primarily criminal practice, I deal a lot with the police in Chester and the mayor and the commissioner and the captain here. And I think that if you walk into the communities and actually go knock on a couple of doors and ask the citizens about how they feel about police relations, they absolutely will tell you. We know that we have some problems with police relations. I mean, it's part of the game. However, it's not required. And it's not every police officer. It's just a few. It's not, so if you knock on doors, they will tell you. I mean, I've stood in court many a time, and the kid will say to me, Miss Tracy, Miss Tracy. And the first thing I do is I read the affidavit, because I look for the name at the bottom of the affidavit. And based upon the name that is at the bottom of the affidavit, I form my own opinions about what it is my client is telling me. There's been many, I've gotten in many a case, and they'll come and be like, Miss Tracy, Miss Tracy. And I said, hey, that's the cop who writes it exactly the way it happened. If he said that's how it happened, that's how it happened. I've been in court way too many times with members of the Chester Police Department, and they could have won. They could have gotten convictions had they lied and changed one little fact, and they wouldn't do it. And so I've done it way too many times to know that they absolutely, positively are good officers. You know, we got a few who'll do it. But I think if you walk into the community, walk into the neighborhood, ask the people, they will tell you, they will absolutely, positively tell you who the officers are, who treat them with respect.
And also,
and who are disrespectful to them.
And Ken, say about yourself.
Well, my name's Kenneth Kovic, born and raised in Chester, and I do a lot of community work in Chester with my friend Darren Laws. And trying to stop these kids out here, save these kids' lives, get them in trying to post positive programs and try to provide a positive role model for these young men and women. Because unfortunately, the family life in Chester is not the ideal one, and it's a lot of single mothers just trying as hard as they can, but it's very difficult for them to raise a boy to be a man. And this is why trying to stand in the gap, men like myself and Darren and other men in Chester, we're trying to stand in the gap for the kids. So that's all we try to do.
I want to ask the kids, how can guys like myself, Darren, Brother Tom, all these other people who want to help y'all, tell me, I want to know how we can help y'all. That's all I want to know.
Mostly all I'll say is the main thing I want to really stop is like the gun violence and all this violence that I hear about. Because mostly I lost 5 friends to it, and I don't want to lose no more. So I'm mostly trying to get down on that, first of all. Because I actually, recently I got pointed at gunpoint. Lately, like, I would say like 5 days ago, in my neighborhood, I got pointed to gunpoint. But I'm not the type to punk down to none of that. So I just told them I'm not giving up nothing.
If one thing, if I may say, young man, and I'll be honest with you, I admire your bravery. I do. I love that, because the one thing that I love is heart. You gotta have heart. But what I'm thinking is that, but you also gotta be wise in how we move, and you have to be very wise in how we do things, because we have to understand that some people are enraged, and they're living with so much rage inside of them. And I even told her mother, I said, do you know that unfortunately everything that you taught your son to be successful makes him a target for the guys in the street? So if he pulls his pants up, it's like, look at him. He think he all that. If he speaks with good dialect, look at that. He trying to talk white. If he actually moves a certain way. So what I was trying to tell him, so we got to be wise in what we do things. And just like their gang, we have to organize and come together against this, and so that it won't just be you standing alone. See, you don't have to stand alone. That's where their strength is when they say, well, look, we got numbers. And that's where they think the strength is. But the strength is really with the people coming together saying, we are the ones who are right. We are not going to be prisoners in our own communities. And we're going to stand against what's wrong. And we're going to do it whatever the cost is. But don't do it alone, though.
This is really for the youth. I know a lot of things I've been seeing is the values in the children. No one's, it's a statement and then a question also. No one's stepping up, helping out the community. Whatever happened to helping the elderly take a bag into their house from the car. You see someone doing something wrong, tell them it's not correct. We all have to step up as individuals. Be that person to say, that's not right. Help that person getting beat down. Make that call for help. What have they done lately to step out of that box?
I would say that myself, like, I'm very helpful. At school, I would help teachers or help students who can't read as well as me or they're not on the same grade level as me or something like that. I would go help them with their studies, help them do any and everything that they would need help with. I also help around the house, and also at school, there's not a ton of bullying, but when there is, and I'm around it, I put a stop to it because it's not cool, and bullying leads to bigger and more serious results and things like that. So at school, I would see a person or targeted and bullying this one person, I would jump into their defense, right or wrong. It's 5 against 1. So if the person was right, then I'm gonna jump in and say something. But if the person's wrong, I'm still gonna be there, but they're gonna have to realize that they were wrong. And it's why 5 to 1, but it shouldn't be that serious. It shouldn't be 5-on-1, different things like that. But yes, if a person is being bullied, I will step in, I will say what I need to say, and hopefully the problem was off. But if it's not, it will go to someone with more authority, either principal, vice principal, or teacher. So yes, I have stood up and jumped into different things, and so that's it. I personally live around a lot of elderly people, and if I see them, inside and they get a package out their door and they don't hear it, and I'll just tell the UPS man to leave there. I'll knock on the door later, or if they're bringing in groceries, I'll help them. And I have this one elderly lady who lives under me. Every now and then I go downstairs and check on her and make sure she's okay.
Who are your role models? Who do you look up to? Why do you look up to them? Okay?
My biggest role model is my mother, and as our young adults over here said, the kids follow after the parents. And my mom, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't drink, she doesn't do stuff like that. So I look up to her. I follow in my mother's footsteps. In school, my mom was a straight-A student. She did her best. And that's the same thing that I do. I've been a straight-A student ever since I started school. I push, I work my hardest, try to go above and beyond the norm, the usual. And so I would say yes, my biggest role model is my mother, and I look up to her.
I would like to ask the mayor to be my mentor.
See, that's all you have to do is put it out there. I got to tell you, I can't think anybody would say, no, I don't want to be your mentor. It's such an honor to know that you look up to him. Okay? I mean, there's nobody I can guarantee you that's going to say, no, I don't want to be your mentor.
This is about as big as it gets for Chester. This is the mayor. Mayor John. And how long have you been in term?
This is my second year.
I know it has. Now, your first term.
First term? Oh, first term?
Yeah.
Yeah, first term.
And what have you seen in the 2 years that you've been in that you think is positive and it's going in the right direction for Chester?
Well, Chester has a lot of partners, a lot of resources that are available to us, and we're working with each one of those individuals. Crozier, Widener, obviously Widener as our anchor institution. We have a lot, as you can see, a lot of youth and a lot of people working with the youth who can help make some changes in the city. So that the mayor's office has availed itself to a faith-based initiative, to violence prevention. We have community liaisons that are out in the community working with those community groups and individuals who want to help change the culture.
Were you the one who initialized it, or you have had that in progress and you're just making sure it
well,
goes somewhere?
I was director of public safety before I became mayor, and I was actually out working on the streets with some of the community groups. There was some formed before I got in. The community liaison is a group that I adopted, and they go out as my eyes and ears and my voice in the community. We develop listening sessions around the city in conjunction with Crozier because of the gun violence and so forth. So I've been, in some cases, continuing to move the agenda on things that have already been here and continuing to try to bring new resources to the city.
Wonderful. High five, Mayor. We are here again with another one of our distinguished panelists, and your name is?
Sharif Hassan.
And what are you going to be telling us about? Tell us a little bit about your background.
I'm 11 years old. I go to Northley Middle School. I'm in 6th grade. I'm going to be on the panel, and I'm going to be talking about bullying, teen pregnancy, and what I do with my friends and in my school to prevent bullying.
You've done something, though, to help with that. You've organized. You've gotten people behind you. Tell me briefly about that.
Well, every couple weeks, me and my friends, we go and talk with my mom, and we talk about, like, what's going on and try, like, to see, like, who's bullying who and try to stop it. Because between me and my friends, we joke around, but sometimes it just gets serious.
And I think people trust you, right?
Yeah, I'm a very trustworthy person.
My name is Naeem. I had a question for the man in the back. I said about y'all start at home with your parents. How can you start from home with your parents? Your parents don't care about you. And when you're on the street, how can y'all put us into a program to always notice the streets? You feel me? Every time when you do something, every time you turn around, police taking this from us, shutting down courts. Like, there's nothing in Chester to do. So all you know is the streets. Like, going to school, education. How can you go to school if your teacher don't even care if you learn? All they know is they get a check at the end of the day. You know what I mean? That hurt to know that nobody cares about you. Like, how can you go to school willing to learn if the teacher not caring? All they doing is just giving you a piece of paper to do. That's not learning. That's open up the book. That's not teaching me nothing.
One thing, man, I will say for real, you have to learn how to use everything that you learned in the streets, but to apply in mainstream society. Meaning that you have to learn, just like when you talk about the school. You know what, man? If somebody was on the streets and they owed you something, would you go holler at them to get it? Hold on, brother, say it louder. Would you holler at them to get it?
Yeah.
But that education is yours. I don't care what that teacher, I don't care what anybody says. If you know that you got something in that building to get, don't let nobody stop you from getting it. So you have to learn how to go out and get yours. But you got to learn how to apply everything that you learned on the streets and use it to your advantage to make, see, man, check this out. I was going to be a leader in the streets or a leader out of the streets, one way or the other. But I was going to lead. But the thing is that it's just how you going to ride. Right. Don't let nothing stop you and let nobody tell you what you can't do. And because you feel that you know what, once you start changing people, places, and things, and you start going in a different direction, you'll start to have yourself in environments where people will care about you. Right. Where you start doing the things that you have to do because it's like you have to actually start applying yourself and you can get the things to be able to still get the things. I tell people, you know what I'm saying, to take advantage of it, but don't take advantage of it. You feel me?
Right.
What's been happening is, and what I've seen, I've been a teacher for about 8 years now, it's falling back on the schools. We expect the schools and the teachers to do everything, and what happens is it's not fair in any way. You're giving us less and less resources to do the job that we were able to do, and effectively, because we don't have that much support from the community. We have a young man back here saying that the teachers don't care, and that's not the case.
No.
I left a nice, comfy job in Delaware County to go out to teach at Grover Cleveland Mastery Charter School in North Philadelphia. That's not the case. We care. You said you needed more education. Education is power, young people. Get it. It is free. It is free. Get it. Like you said, if someone owed you something, you take the time to get it. You go and collect on your debt. Well, this education here in the state of Pennsylvania is free. Get it.
You might laugh at me, but a closed mouth don't get fed on this boulevard. So when you open up your mouth and you speak to someone and let them know your needs and the resources that you need, then and only then will you be able to get what you need. So you have this gentleman here, you came to your car, so that's the first thing that you did. You're here, and you opened your mouth to let people know that you were in need.
But I'm going to give you five, these young people, I'm going to give you 5 things. I want you to remember this. And to remember this today. There's 5 things in life that you should always take advantage of. And take advantage of these 5 things. Take advantage of your youth before your old age. Take advantage of your free time before it's occupied. Take advantage of your wealth before poverty. Take advantage of your health before sickness. And take advantage of your life before death. Because you never know when the next 5 will ever come.
Well, leave us with this. Look into the camera and look at that young man or woman or just person and pitch the Sutton House where they can reach out to people like you and help them before they make that bad decision because they're angry.
Okay. Well, actually, if I was really talking to one right now, I would say, look, whatever you're thinking about doing, I was there, I've been there, done that, wrote the book, starred in the movie. And I said, but the reason my book is called Temporarily Insane is because I felt that I was insane during that time period. And now that I have changed, I think that it's all about us making a difference. And so I'm not saying to never get angry, but what I'm saying is that you have to be able to channel all of that energy and channel it into producing something instead of destroying it. So I'm here. If you need to holler at me, call me, you need to reach out to me. My name is Ted Sutton, and I support this message.